Alright guys, Zachman18 here. Welcome back to the WTZM TV channel 18 Superstation. It is time for the next part of our Let's Play of Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney on the Nintendo DS. We are on the third case right now, Turnabout Serenade. It's kind of a rock and roll type case, and I think it's a really cool case so far. So we are about to head into our first day of trial. Let's do it. July 9th, even though today's July 30th. Oh well.
Court is now in session for, how do I say that?
Maki Tobe, Your Honor, the pixie of the arpeggio.
Right, his trial. Court is in session.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK, Herr Judge.
Very well, Prosecutor Gavin.
My opening statement, Jar?
No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, yes?
Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them?
Eh?
I mean, you wouldn't say, get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down.
What are you talking about?
Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial, the Chief Justice's son.
The Chief Justice?
His son is afflicted with the most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day.
Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending?
She's looking at me with something like disgust.
Hey, what are you looking at me like that for?
In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement briefly.
You're in luck, Herr Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Letous, age 35, the global manager for Diva Songstress Lamiroir. The cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details.
The court accepts this into evidence. 45 caliber, that's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. However, the bullet struck him in his shoulder.
Alright, I want to see this. Autopsy. Death due to loss of blood from a gunshot wound, estimated time of death 9 o'clock to 9:30 p.m. Okay.
The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate.
Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved.
I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering.
2 shots were fired. One shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall at the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit.
I see. The court accepts this into evidence.
Alright.
If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use.
Really?
Yeah, apparently weapons that size have a powerful kickback. They say the judge tried to fire one and break every bone in his body. The defense will take more care in choosing examples.
As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door.
That does seem to be the case, yes?
However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots. He's talking about you and Emma, huh? Yeah, when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course.
But that's impossible.
Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person.
One person?
That is, of course, the defendant Maki Tobe.
Only this defendant could have committed the crime? But how?
It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear.
Very well, I assume you have testimony to back up this claim. Let the witness please take the stand.
Emma Skye. Your name and profession, please? Emma Skye. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night.
Emma seems tired somehow. Security at the concert, you say?
Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder.
Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know. I'm sure that makes her feel much better.
I want to hear about these bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered, and we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. Alright.
Let's go.
The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
Okay. It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene.
But that door was the only way out of the room, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Then I don't get it. How can they say that Maki did it?
Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well, then. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Okay. Hold it! The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes?
That's right.
What was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert.
My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods.
Prosecutor Gavin?
Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall.
Conspiracy?
Well, isn't it obvious? My keys. The whole morning, no, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my honk to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again.
Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them?
Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own.
What's this, Prosecutor Gavin? If your keys were in the victim's hand, that makes you a prime suspect.
Oh, yeah. Love, slow acting and new. Atroquinine is waiting for you. He's singing something.
Is everything with this guy have to be so over the top?
The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor adrift on a sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task.
I see. I can accept that.
Well, I can't. What do you mean, time on their hands?
Please, the testimony.
Hold it.
We were let in, though.
I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. I gave the foreign special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now.
Gee, great.
Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off.
So no other outsiders were there then.
And then... Hold it!
I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots.
You were the one chatting. I was eating snackaroos.
Oh, hey, no snacking in court.
And you're sure the shots came from Lamiroir's room?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this'll keep you quiet.
Thanks. So, how about it, Emma?
We were right. There. Hard to be mistaken about that.
Please, either talk or eat, not both at the same time.
Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door.
Hold it. Rock?
Blaring, yes?
When you say rock, are you referring, perhaps, to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days? That's right, when we went into the dressing room. Music was blaring over the speaker on the wall.
They pipe sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage.
Did it have to be so loud?
You don't listen to the Gavin is with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked in the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime.
If you could hear that music playing...
Then everyone on stage for that song is an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation.
Hold it! How could you know something like that?
As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen, we know there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent.
Oh. But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly...
Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child.
A child?
Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved with the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child.
The defendant?
The pixie of the arpeggio floated up toward the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime.
But that's just conjecture.
Oh, there was no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Hair Forehead. And there is another vital piece of evidence.
Evidence? What?
Marks were found on the air vent grill, traces that it had recently been opened.
Wait, what?
And something else was found, quite clearly. The defendant Matthew Tobey's fingerprints.
What? Order, order, order!
That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Herr Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Ugh. Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to the heaven. And that one is our pixie. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping it up in the audience.
So this was his decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit.
I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough.
It can't be over already. Very well, I believe this trial is finished. If the defense has no contradicting evidence...
The prosecution has presented our proof clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain. Apollo, they've got us on the ropes already. We better come up with something quick.
I know.
Think, what can get us out of this?
We need evidence or a witness that can prove Mackie is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that... Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell us about it now.
This is it, and so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. Okay, do we want to present evidence, call a witness, or I don't have proof? Well, what other people can we call to the stand? So we've already talked to Emma. We can still talk to Darian, because he was the one who messed up that part from the Guilty Love song. And we can still talk to Lamiroir as well, because she had something to do with Latus, because he was the one that said I was killed by the siren. So, I think we need to call another witness. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there was no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure?
Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit Strong Atroquini, My Love. There he goes again.
That's too bad, because there was a witness.
Oh, really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not?
Because I'm the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him and now... He's alive. Mr. Latus, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way.
Guns.
Hang in there, Mr. Latus. Tell me, who is the witness?
The witness is Skye.
What? The victim said this before he died?
Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not.
What do you mean by that?
All we know is what Herr Forehead says he said. It's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself.
But it's the truth. He said it. Yeah, I even told you about it. But apparently you ignore me completely.
It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job.
That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty.
Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for.
There's no backing out now.
Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice.
Well, the siren is Lamiroir, so it's gotta be her. Take that!
Lamiroir?
Recall Mr. Latus's last words.
The witness is Skye.
The siren? Aha! He meant the siren.
That's right, the siren of the bell, Lamiroir. Lamiroir was only on stage for the second set, and she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness.
I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
My claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime.
Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Skye's cross-examination. Please show Lamiroir to the witness stand.
Lamiroir would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her, no matter what it is.
It is my distinct honor to welcome the siren of the ballad to our courtroom.
You are too kind.
Oh, you can speak English.
Yes, I can. Though I am not very good. There is much I do not know.
You speak so well. Have you spent time here before?
Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it.
Huh? What does she mean she doesn't know?
I too thought to call her as witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course.
What's that?
Lamiroir suffers from amnesia.
Amnesia?
Lamiroir is not my true name, yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought. As ballad singer Lamiroir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her thanks to her success. Yet, I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress.
I see. Affair surprises me a little about people's past. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lamiroir.
Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I'm being called as a witness. What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened.
Lamiroir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you stand.
Oh my.
Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy.
Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime.
Okay. Here we go.
As for what I saw nothing. That night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying.
I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying.
There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat, and refrain from detaining her here longer than need be. Wow, you just got badder, Apollo. Way to go.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet.
Lamiroir wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. Alright, so in that case, there's probably something that we missed in here that is contradictory. So first things first, I want to check out the evidence here. Okay, lyric sheet, postcard. Wait a second. What did she say? What was that one statement she said? Yes, you did. Because how do you explain your brooch being found at the crime scene? Objection! We found that right at the crime scene. I'm sorry, Lamiroir, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not?
Why, that's Lamiroir's. She was wearing it for her song.
Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin?
What?
This brooch was found after the murder took place, at the very scene of the crime.
What?
Lamiroir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night.
Ah!
What is the meaning of this? Lamiroir, please explain.
Lamiroir. She says English is quite difficult. That trick's not going to work here.
Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact.
What now?
In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment.
What?
Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak.
Is she really saying all that?
What's she talking about, Apollo?
Right when the incident occurred. Ah, is she talking about that?
Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup.
Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. Latus, can you hear me?
Cold, so cold.
Witness, you're cold? Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way.
The witness is...
Siren? How can a siren witness anything? Yeah, Emma? What was that? Who's there?
What's wrong?
Emma, did you see anyone just now?
No.
I could have sworn I heard a door close.
I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you.
So this is when your brooch dropped.
That explains that.
It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it.
But that's ridiculous. You only looked for an instant, but you dropped your brooch?
Hair forehead. She has raised the possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence.
So she looked in at the crime scene.
Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course.
Sorry.
The moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice.
Hair forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed.
Ugh.
I closed the door immediately.
Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony.
That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lamiroir, you did look into the room, though, right?
Yes.
Testify as to what you saw.
Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses. Once was finished, I went backstage for just a moment. I saw nothing. The late Mr. Latus's
Alright, let's go back. What did you see in that brief glimpse?
I had only opened the door slightly when I heard that horrible voice.
You shut the door?
I've always wondered, Half-Forehead, does that voice of yours lack a volume knob? It's my cords of steel, man. Just back off. A wall? Was there a wall there?
Is what in English?
A division or partition, I believe. It was a large dressing room divided into two halves. And the murder took place in the inside half. I guess that partition may have hidden the body. With Matthew, correct? How was he then?
He seemed as he always does, though I believe he was shocked by the news of Mr. Latus's death. Yet he is not the type to show much emotion.
Yes, he's given the police no end of headaches. He answers most questions with silence, and those glinting frames speak nothing. The questioning hasn't gotten very far.
We sat there waiting.
Hold it! How was the incident explained to you?
I was told nothing in detail, only that Mr. Latus died.
Of course, investigations require some secret security.
Mr. Latus was my manager. I wanted to know more. I should have been told.
Both Mackie and I were beside ourselves with concern. Allow me to apologize, but please understand. Keeping you in the dark was as painful for me as it was for you.
Yes, I understand.
Think, what doesn't ring true about her testimony? It's hard to imagine Lamiroir lying. She might not be lying, but she's hiding something. What wouldn't she tell me the night of the murder? Wait a second. Trying to see if she's doing anything with her body at all. You know, the perceiving thing? Yeah, she looks away right as she says that. Let's try it. Okay. Let's look around. She turns her body. Oh, her neck is moving right there. Okay. It's on that one statement. Watch this, guys. Here again. Watch this. It's right on her neck here. Right as she says the late Mr. Latus spot. You can barely see it, but her neck is like slightly moving. Boom! Gotcha! Gotcha! Boom! The late Mr. Latus's body, you say?
Yes.
You know something more about Mr. Latus's death than you were saying. What? I could see you trying not to remember, but the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes.
It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Latus have to be shot?
One moment, Lamiroir.
Yes?
What was that you just said?
Why did Mr. Latus
Have to be shot?
Yes?
She was hiding something, I knew it. Lamiroir, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradict your testimony.
Eh? How could that be?
Take this. Lamiroir contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. She said that. Can't believe she was shot. Okay, lyric sheets. The crown are restricted to ensure the efficiency and secrecy of the investigation. The bearer is hereby ordered to speak to no one outside the investigation concerning the details of the case. So how did she know that right away? And I think this request is going to be our backup or whatever you want to call it. Take that. Take that. Yeah. Tell me, Lamiroir, how did you know he had been shot? Well, immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, no one told me anything about the incident.
Ah,
Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latouche had been shot. How could you have known?
ah!
Lamiroir, you aren't hiding something from this court, I hope.
That sweet song of hers is sounding a little too sweet.
Ah, now I remember. Please, allow me to add to my testimony. Of course, all we want to know is the truth. She looks kind of pale, huh?
She saw something, I know it. Even the victim said so. You're kidding me, right? Okay, so she's just added this. I saw bullet holes in the wall and knew Mr. Latouche had been shot. Wait, what did that diagram show again? I've seen... Well, the first one, it missed the wall because this one is actually facing the block, the block where he was hit. And she came in from that door and she saw the bullet holes in the wall, but she would have to probably look all the way around because this was in the way. If you guys can see this right down here, all these things were in the way. So she only had a brief glimpse. If she only like looked through there, she couldn't have seen that he had been shot because she was only there and these were all blocking the way, and especially this divider thing too. And she saw the bullet holes in the wall which were over here, but that doesn't explain the fact that this is completely blocked off and she can't really get over there if she's only having a brief glimpse. Take that, or objection. Lamiroir, they call you the siren of the ballad, but lies are hardly becoming of such a creature.
A put-down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice.
Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo. Stop polishing your forehead and start polishing your character, Jean.
Come on, can't I be cool for once? Observe the diagram. Lamiroir, you looked in from the door for just a moment, correct?
Yes, that is so.
There were bullet holes in the room, yes? But they were in the wall that the door is on. You see, assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes.
Ah!
Lamiroir,
Yes?
I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something.
And I must tell you what it is that I saw?
Yes, the happenings in this trial are being recorded, and I'm certain that it will be on the news in Borginia. You understand your reputation is at stake. It's false to you to avoid tarnishing it.
Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing.
But she knew how Mr. Latouche died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something, Lamiroir.
Very well. Lamiroir, please continue your testimony.
Very well, I shall.
What I saw.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Mackie. It was a grown person. I know it was.
So you did witness the crime, and the killer was a grown person, you say?
This is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Hair Forehead.
Very well, Hare. Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination.
Great going, Apollo. You're right about Lamiroir. What's wrong? You don't look too happy.
This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong.
Huh?
Hold it! Hold it! So you were heading toward the dressing room?
Yes.
So this is a little before she opened the dressing room door and dropped her brooch. About the same time Emma and I heard those shots.
I was on my way back.
Hold it! What exactly is something like a little window?
Yes, well, window is the best word I know in English. I think this is how it is said, yes. You need not worry, Lamiroir. Your choice of words is impeccable. There was a small window in the dressing room in question. Perhaps the defense remembers this detail?
A little window on the wall.
I saw the crime from there.
Hold it! You are certain you heard 2 shots fired?
Yes, quite certain. I was on my way to the backstage exit. This was when I heard a faint sound, like a gunshot. Wondering what it had been, I peered through the window. That is when I heard the second gunshot much closer.
And there were 2 bullet holes at the scene. No contradiction so far.
It all happened on the other side of that window. There was nothing I could do.
Hold it! It wasn't Mackie who shot. Are you sure?
Yes, quite certain. Ha ha ha. It amuses me that you would question her testimony. It's testimony in your favor. Isn't it my job to object?
Yeah, Apollo, what are you thinking?
Shoot, so let's just listen to what Lamiroir has to say. Can you tell me how you were so sure?
Yes, of course. You see...
Hold it! A grown person? That's a little vague.
I'm sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know.
Seems that you could at least see whether the shooter was male or female.
It was a man, a young man.
You're sure of that?
Yes, his voice was quite clear.
Voice?
Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
As a singer, I rely more on my ears and my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. That voice was the voice of a man.
So you had a voice, but wait.
Could not have been the victim, Mr. Laytus? Absolutely not. Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? If it was Mr. Laytus who spoke, I would have known.
Indeed. So you were at the window and you heard the shooter's voice, the voice of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. That proves it wasn't Mackie.
Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony?
I'd say it's pretty good. Well, I'd have to say it's pretty good. Vital even. This shows that the shooter wasn't Mackie.
Huh. Surely you can't be so serious, Hair Forehead.
Why not?
Lamiroir, I understand why you would want to protect Mackie. Yet remember, you are the siren of the ballad. And lies do not become such a creature.
What does the prosecution mean?
Apollo, what's he talking about?
How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like that?
I recall the state of the crime scene quite well.
The state of the room?
Yes, and when the murder took place, that window was closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it. What? But I'm sure... Lamiroir, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense. But my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser.
But she's the only eyewitness we have.
So you say, and the victim named her the siren as the witness.
That's right, that's what Mr. Laytus.
We heard your claim, we even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Herr Judge?
Yes?
The prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please.
I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question of the witness's credibility.
But if Lamiroir can't testify,
then we don't have a chance of proving Mackie's innocence.
This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case.
Dunk. Now, where were we? Ah, yes, I would like to hear from Fraulein Detective again.
Wait, let me hear Lamiroir's testimony one last time.
But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as the need arises, this witness may leave the stand.
I'm sorry I cannot be of more assistance.
At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Hair Forehead?
I hope I didn't just miss my only chance.
Fraulein Detective, how far had we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me! I dislike saying the same thing twice, and I never repeat a song for an encore.
If you were Miss Skye?
I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Laytus's killer could have escaped was through that air vent on the ceiling.
Ah, yes, there was only one door in the room, and a witness to you was standing in front of it.
That air vent isn't very big, see? Kind of limits the people who could possibly get through.
I certainly would have a difficult time.
You sure would. Not that you would have been there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only one who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant. A virtuoso performance. I couldn't have put it better myself.
She does state a clear case. While reading the report, something caught my eye.
Oh, what's that?
The circumstances of the defendant's arrest.
The circumstances? Again?
Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Mackie? That was bizarre.
She's right. Why did Mr. Laytus's body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less.
A perceptive observation here, Judge.
Oh, thanks. It was kind of an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough. You get a nose for things.
The judge sure seems pleased with himself. Very good, Fraulein Detective. Perhaps you can tie it all together for us. Why was the body moved? And how does that lead us to the killer?
Alright, here we go.
I believe Mackie stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lamiroir's song, No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim, and Mackie practically left his signature at the scene. All this evidence clearly points to the defendant.
Lamiroir's song?
Yes, the guitar serenade. You noticed its code, too, did you not?
Its code?
All the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held on so tightly were stolen.
Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latus's life was taken by a bullet.
The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, up together to the sky.
That's mad. It's like a story out of some fairy tale.
I admit I'd forgotten about the song, but there it is now, waiting for the grand finale as it were.
Hey, you know I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs and counting to songs, but killing?
It's a wild world out there, Head Judge.
Very well. We've heard one song and dance. Let's get on to the next, the cross-examination.
I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing.
Hold it!
Who would steal a body just to match some lyrics?
I didn't believe it myself, but it can't just be a coincidence. It is as Frowning Detective says. Let's begin with the first verse, if you will, Frowning Detective. What? You want me to sing it?
You are the witness, Shaw.
Or did you want me to sing? I warn you, my fears vocalist is not trivial. Fine, let's look at the first part of the lyric, shall we? When you stole away the keys, my heart held on to so tight. Indeed, my favorite heart-shaped keyring was stolen that morning. Next, we go to the right page of the lyric sheet, where we find, burning on in my heart, fire, burn my love away, all away. As we know, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar bursts into flame. Like a bullet of love, fire, take my life away, all away. Mr. Latus's life was taken by a bullet. Bravo, Frowning Detective, you're singing, it's not bad. Now for the finale. Guitar, up together to the sky. As it says in the lyrics, Mr. Latus was found with a guitar high in the sky over the stage. No series of coincidences could be so well conceived. He's right, scientifically speaking.
What would Walkie have said? That concert was whack.
It's hard to argue when she pours her heart into it like that. Anyway, the shooter...
Hold it! Does the prosecution have any idea why you do all this?
You want my scientific opinion? No clue. But he clearly had a reason to go through all that trouble. Some deep reason.
A deep reason?
Not only did he steal my keys, he torched my guitar. Unforgivable acts even if he had a reason. And worse if he had none. The diva's complaints aside, I can't imagine someone doing this on just a whim. Frowning Detective, I take offense to that description.
Indeed, it does seem too well rehearsed, shall we say?
Yes, this crime was planned for sure. Hold it!
But Mr. Latus spoke English. He may have come to this country before.
I looked into that, I assure you.
Oh.
It was his first time in the country, it seems. Apparently he learned English on his own.
Great.
You see, no one here had a motive to kill him, and certainly not in such an elaborate fashion.
It does seem difficult to imagine.
Unless our famous prosecutor did it as a publicity stunt.
What did you say? Prosecutor Gavin, you did this to promote your song?
Of course not, and I am quite dismayed by the ludicrous nature of her claim. Why would I need promotion? Everyone already listens to my music. Even in my textbook at school.
And I never heard of him. What does that say about me?
I was just kidding. Don't get all worked up, Glimmer Boy.
Hold it! What do you mean by his signature?
The bullet holes in the wall, of course.
The bullet holes?
The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall.
And that means what, exactly?
A dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range.
Difficult to miss, you say?
Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim.
No, you can't be serious.
Maki, he can't see. That's why he missed? It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room is blowing at the time, Ja. Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound.
A blind shooter. No wonder he missed.
I knew those bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think, Justice, what do I do now?
Let's raise an objection.
Sure, there were bullets hole left in the wall, but that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see.
Oh, how so?
Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim.
That's certainly possible.
And it might have been the revolver's fault.
The revolver?
The revolver was a very large caliber, correct?
If the shooter wasn't used to firing such a large weapon, why, it could dislocate their shoulder.
Exactly. The defendant Mackie Tobey is, as you can see, tiny. It's not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim.
A convincing argument, to be sure.
Haha, take that, smug prosecution.
Apollo?
Huh? What?
That bit about Mackie being tiny, and the gun throwing off his aim, aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it?
Oh.
It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point.
Ugh! Cripes, I really put my foot in it this time.
But let's get the facts of the matter on the record, if you would, Fraulein Detective.
Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony.
Right.
Hold it! Hold it! You can't say he was blind just because of those bullet holes in the wall. I think I've proven that.
I wouldn't call it proof, per se.
Huh?
You've merely raised a possibility. Fraulein Detective has made a most logical conjecture based upon the evidence. Of course, there was more evidence than just bullet holes. The defendant was the only one who could have escaped through the air vent.
But wait, if he was blind, how would he know about the air vent in the first place?
Ah, very good point. Well, Fraulein Detective, if you would care to explain.
He certainly seems sure of himself.
Recall the crime scene if you would. There was the stepladder below the air vent. As it happens, maintenance was scheduled for that day. Custodial staff went around checking out the air vents.
I don't believe it.
Everyone backstage was told about the maintenance, including Mackie Tobey. He would have known that there would be a way out at the top of the stepladder.
But why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
You could have figured it out for yourself. You only needed to consider what that stepladder was doing there.
Looks like the defense's objection has been squashed by a stepladder.
Well, half foreheads, out of ammunition, perhaps?
I've never seen Prosecutor Gavin so aggressive. Maybe he's caught the scent of blood.
Apollo, don't you have something? Anything? You know what we need? We need something to prove the killer could see. That'll put him in his place.
Proving the shooter was sighted would do it? That would take down one of their central points. Do I have any evidence that can prove that, though?
I think we could.
Got nothing else to do. Fine, I accept the prosecution's challenge.
As I knew you would, half-foreheads.
What exactly am I up against here? The prosecution is saying the shooter missed because he or she couldn't see. Therefore, Mackie, who's blind, did it.
The defense will please present their evidence. Evidence that overturns the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see.
Alright, let's take a look here. Oh my god, I'm knocking everything over my desk here. Okay. Diagram, no. Picture him shot in shoulder in Lamiroir's room. Well, the thing that overturns is the fact that he actually hit him with the gun itself, because if he's blind, he doesn't even know where he's shooting. I mean, he can obviously hear, but I don't think it would be much of an accurate shot as him when he's actually hit Latus in the shoulder with the bullet, so take that. Ouch, I just popped my arm. This is that evidence.
The photograph of the crime scene?
I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face. But this is no time to think twice. Time to press on. Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point.
Then perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, shall?
Very well, show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice. The contradiction at the scene of the crime is...
Well, what's this blood from up here? Is that just blood from him himself? Let's try that. The contradiction is right here.
The smeared blood stains?
I thought it was just my blurry vision, but it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head. much like a gesture I have seen many times in this court.
It's almost as if he wrote something. Aha! I get it. At least I think I get it. Get what, Fraulein? When Mr. Letus was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? What would he write in his And what would he write in his own blood? Pretty good, huh?
Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here. That does seem to be a distinct possibility.
The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion. Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that.
Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind.
Neither would I.
No one has anything else to say? About what? So the prosecution accepts this. You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer, and that the killer tried to rub the name out.
What's your point?
What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name?
Well, Mr. Letus was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was... Wait.
Once he saw what it was. But what did you just testify about the shooter?
I said they were blind. Ah!
Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they rub out the name in blood otherwise? May I remind the court the defendant Makitobe is blind. He couldn't have been the shooter.
Impossible!
Order! Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see, yet up until now.
It seems I owe the court an apology. The Gaviniers are bound with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred. During our concert, apparently this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner.
I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here.
Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't, and he's about to tell us. I got an idea. Let's rock. With these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fraulein detective, if I may. What? Tell me, why do you think that Makitobe is blind? Huh?
What did he say?
What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's the blind pianist, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamiroir lead him around by the hand all the time?
No way.
I have a report here that defendant Makitobe. According to this, Makitobe can see perfectly well. What?
Wow.
His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Borginians. He can see quite well.
But you said...
What did I say exactly? Hair forehead, not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was Fraulein detective.
But that's...
a significant fact, yes. Consider, Makitobe sees, and he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. What about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Herr Forehead merely explained those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the 45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off for Brenda Skies. This is where the real fun begins, Herr Forehead.
Jeez.
I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk! What was I in here for? Comic relief? Yeah, apologize. Haha. Oh, sorry. That's no way to apologize. He's angered the truth now. Look out.
If we can please end the bickering now.
Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me.
Your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant.
Oh, don't say that.
Aha, what?
This blood stain. This criminal tried to wipe it off, right?
That seems to be what happened, yes?
You might be able to find out what was really written here.
Really? You can do that?
That's right. With this. It's called Luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood. Oh yes, have we done those tests yet? As if I'm going to tell you. The bloodstains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, this section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in court now. Right, go for it, Apollo.
Huh? I have to do the test?
You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple.
A chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere. Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Have at it.
Right. Oh, here we go. Right, ready? It's easy as pie. Just touch the screen to spray an area. Here, give it a try.
The eyes of the entire court are focused on me.
Apollo, your hand's shaking.
Ugh, let's do this. Whoa.
The heck?
Wow, it really works.
This must be the power of science. It says IPXX314206. Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is. If the killer was a robot.
Ha, I have it.
So what is it?
I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number. Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency? Yes, most of our undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number?
Why would Mr. Waytus even know a number like that?
Good show, Falling Detective. Rock on. Eh? Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand.
Uh-oh.
Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number.
Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27. I'm not sure what to think of all this. The prosecution's cases are tight, or so it seems. Yet if this number is really that of an Interpol agent.
Oh wait, I know. What if Matthew Tobey is really an undercover Interpol agent? That would be a possibility.
A possibility, yes, and one that would mark him as the killer for certain. Why do Waytus know an Interpol ID number? That's what I want to know.
Well, we have some time while we wait for Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Matthew Tobey.
What are you talking about?
Falling Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. It seemed too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until that last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question? Well, sure. Why did Matthew pretend he couldn't see? Exactly, it makes little sense. What do you think, Hair Forehead?
Huh? Me?
Matthew Tobey pretended he was blind. Do you know why? How could he know? Wait, Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he?
He's known from the start of the trial. He's been leading us on the whole time.
Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? You know that the moment I hear the report, I knew why?
I suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else. What does that have to do with anything?
There was a reason why Matthew Tobey pretended to be blind, but it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now?
It wasn't for himself? Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had to feign blindness?
I think so.
Mackie had no reason to pretend he couldn't see, which means, no, it couldn't be.
Good show, Hair Forehead. It seems you've thought of something.
Why can't I figure these things out on my own? I hate having to take my cues from this guy. Very well, look at this. This is why he was pretending he couldn't see. Okay, attorney's badge, no. Lyric sheet, no. Lamiroir's own publicity postcard. Lamiroir sites swing music. Oh yeah, this is why he was pretending he couldn't see. No, mixing board, no. Oh, you can actually hear the song, that's cool. Keyring, no. No, close to 30, plug loss, scan lab, put in review. Diagram. I think it might be the postcard. Because with Mars on, why he was pretending he couldn't see, so I think it's got to be the postcard. Take that. Take that. That is Lamiroir and Matthew Tobey. Recall their relationship, in particular their unique arrangement over the years before visiting our country.
Lamiroir and her pianist, they would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him.
That's right, because he was blind. She led him at all times, never letting him go. All times? Yet we have just learned something that makes their arrangement peculiar indeed. Mackie could see. Why did they have to keep up this act the whole time? Well, wasn't it part of their performance? I think there's a simpler explanation. Mackie didn't need to be led by the hand at all. That can only mean one thing.
Really?
Really, it was all the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lamiroir. What's this? So you mean to say that Lamiroir she's... Yes, Your Honor. Lamiroir is blind.
What?
Order! This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin.
Is it now?
Please shed some sanity on this madness. The defense has made an outrageous claim.
The only thing outrageous I see about the defense is his fast forehead. Yet I see it as not fast in vain. This time. He's quite correct.
But that makes no sense.
Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be the landscape painter in sound or something? Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lamiroir herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room. Apollo, what does this mean for our case?
Don't ask me, I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now. Bailiff, bring in Lamiroir.
Lamiroir, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must. Please do not be concerned on my behalf.
Those eyes, she really can't see? Really?
It is true. How funny it is that a tiny lad born in the Burgundian countryside could one day could entangle the entire world.
So you are?
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memories of the time before I became Lamiroir. Know too that my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lamiroir.
I see.
You may recall me saying something toward the beginning of this trial, half-forehead.
Huh? What's that?
I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witnesses.
Ah.
Now, Lamiroir, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes? Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor?
Oh, yes, of course. Though I admit I am a little lost here. I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor.
I know, I am. I'm kind of lost. Because of that. Yeah. Okay. I'm just... Yeah.
I have no memory of the light. I debuted in the world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
But this is a murder trial.
I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this with her. She told us the truth in the beginning. When she said she saw nothing.
Very well. Does the defendant have anything to add? I'd like to cross-examine.
But what is there left to ask?
There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me.
Perhaps it is best we let you get out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself.
Very well, the defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness. Okay, there was only one part that bothered me.
Alright, just in case we screw up here, let's go ahead and save our game here. This is a really long day in court.
Just let me ask about that and I'll be happy.
Here we go.
Hold it! So you don't know why you were blind?
I do not. I may have been born this way, in fact. It's fruitless to attempt to pry into our past, and I might add, it's a delicate subject.
I'm not sure we can reasonably expect Mr. Justice to do anything delicately. Hey, why I oughta take a deep breath and calm down.
What I am now is all that I have. It is enough, I think.
Hold it! Weren't you nervous at the stage in your condition?
No, not at all, surprisingly. It felt natural singing in front of everyone.
It's not something just anyone could do.
She has talent, that much is quite clear. You might even say she is beloved by the gods of music. Even without light, I live perfectly happy in my world of sound. If that is a talent, I should say, then I thank the gods responsible.
What about your PR motto? Hold it! Perhaps your music reminded him of the Burgundian scenery.
No, it was quite the opposite.
The opposite?
According to my producer, my music has a certain global quality.
Global?
Multicultural, if you will, hard to pin to the one region. When people listen to it, they picture the country closest to their hearts, which is why my music has reached so many. What a lovely story. It sounds like this producer might have known what he was doing after all. My song's nothing more than a white canvas. To me, the real landscape painter are the listeners. When I think of that, I do not mind how I'm represented to the world so much.
Yet one thing quickly led to another.
Hold it! Was that to protect your image as the landscape painter in sound?
That does not matter so much to me, really. But the label is quite concerned about it, I think.
A landscape painter who can't see, that's like a pianist who can't play, huh?
I'm not sure you can compare your father to Lamiroir.
The world of commercial music is filled with these little white lies. Nothing is sacred when it comes to publicity.
Hold it! When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Letouce?
Of course, he was my manager.
So he knew, and that's what's been bugging me. Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yes?
Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was. He's alive. Mr. Letouce, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Help is on the way. Can't see. Hang in there, Mr. Letouce. Tell me who is the witness. The witness is... Mr. Letouce told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind.
I don't know. Tisk. What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself.
Meaning what?
There is no mystery here if you recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more.
The witness? Siren? We've heard them many times along with a little play acting by our defense.
I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I've heard. I mean, what he said before that.
Before? What came before that?
Ah! That's right. He tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness.
I see.
Too bad the defense did not. Well, here, forehead, try relaxing and looking, and the facts for us next time.
Order.
The condom was already a testimony. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
But you couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that. Oh, sorry, I thought we proved that.
That's not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Letouce witnessed her through that window. Why else would he have named her as a witness? But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots and the man's voice. Unfortunately, such a thing is impossible. The window was closed. Oh wow, I just did a wrong voice for her. I'm sorry, this is going on really long. We've already run a simulation, of course. But it was so clear. If I had heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
Your Honor. What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in session here? We have the results back from the investigation. The investigation?
The Interpol number that Mr. Letouce left us.
Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Crescent, your report, please. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing.
Quick work as always, Darian.
Well, tell us about the burglary. Tell us about the number. Is the defendant a secret agent? IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Letouce. What? Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Letouce himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity, and a cautious killer tried to wipe them away.
Mr. Letouce was an undercover Interpol agent, so him being Lamiroir's manager was just to cover it, most likely.
There's one other important detail I found.
Well, not with it.
It concerns a .45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. It apparently belonged to Romain Letouce. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and the registration number on the revolver matched. So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who was an Interpol agent with such a large revolver. So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I wonder how that ties in everything.
Gotta tie in somehow, you think?
Yeah, somehow. Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading up. Uh-oh.
Wait.
Lamiroir, is something the matter?
That voice just now.
Darian?
Mr. Darian, is it? It was him. I am sure of it.
It was him?
You aren't saying? That voice I heard talking to Mr. Letouce. When I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darian.
Is this some kind of a joke?
What?
Holy crap! No way.
What?
The courtroom fell into such a chaotic state the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I'd never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lamiroir fingering Derry and Crescend. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice Lamiroir heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it.
Hey, know one thing out now, Apollo.
Oh my god. Really? Gosh, it gets crazy at the end. Every time in Phoenix Wright, it gets... In the Ace Attorney games, it gets crazy at the end. Holy crap. Yeah, we're saving. That was a long day in court. I can say that. Oh, man. Alright, looks like we're heading back into investigation tomorrow, starting off with the Write Anything Agency. So, that is it for today's part for Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. This case is definitely getting insane. We are now... Darian Crescend is now a suspect now, I guess, since Lamiroir is pointing her finger at him now because she remembers his voice at the crime scene. So we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. So we got our next day of investigation tomorrow. So thanks everybody for watching today's part for Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, and I will see you guys in my next video coming soon. Objection!